y'all, I just wanted to go through a few things to try to help make the virtual space a little bit easier and try to show you a few instructions on some moves so that when you are doing the class, it's easier to catch on, particularly because there's some challenges with the technology when we're in the virtual space. Number one, please understand that all of our internet speeds tend to be a little different. And so sometimes it may appear that I'm going at a different pace in the music. I promise you I am on beat, but sometimes there can be a delay. There can also be a delay on your end. So it's more important for you to go to the beat that you hear as opposed to trying to keep up with my pace, because sometimes that can look a little bit off. During the workouts, I try sometimes to tell you what type of exercise we're going to do and then say, go ahead and do it at your own pace, particularly when we're doing Tabatas and things like that. Sometimes there's certain songs where there's a bit of choreography, like if we're doing a line dance or something, but once you learn the moves, you can again go based on the beat that you hear. But just wanted to show you a couple of the things that we typically do in the class so that it makes sense to you. As always, I always even it up on both sides. So sometimes I might call out and say that I'm on my right side and you're actually on your left and vice versa. As long as you remember both sides, it's okay. So number one, I wanted to start off with showing you just our basic punch. When we're punching, you always want to keep your arms up, right? Trying to at least by your chin when we're up there. And when we throw that punch, it's important to throw it with good force and snap it back. So when we're putting it out there and bringing it back, I know sometimes we get into it, it looks like we're just kind of throwing our arms up there, but you want to add your own body resistance into it. Of course, you can always grab a set of weights, a light pair of weights to intensify your workout. But when you throw that punch, keeping in mind that my thumb is right in front of these two fingers here, don't put it underneath. If you have long nails, sometimes we have to put our fingers out like that to where it's not covering it up. But you want a nice strong punch and you're turning that wrist into the punch as you're throwing, right? So it starts upright, but as I punch, it's twisting downward and I'm snapping it back, right? So when I'm doing that front punch, when I'm jabbing across the body, I am engaging my core with that. So I'm keeping it tight. So when I say to jab across, right, when we're punching across, for the most part, I'm keeping lower body still and I'm twisting into that punch and bringing it back. But I feel that all here. So whenever we're throwing a punch, we're also working our core, this part of our core at the same time. We're either punching across, we jab right in front of us. A lot of times I'll do a move where it's a jab and cross. One leg will be in front and I'm jab cross, right? So my right arm in this case is getting the front part and I'm finishing it off with the back. So we'll do a move where I say jab and cross this way. Sometimes then we add in a knee, jab, cross, jab, and then I might bring in that front knee. So like a 1, 2, 3. And that's a combination that we do a lot. 1, 2, 3 here. Sometimes I'll add to it and add an uppercut or another jab or a knife hand or something from the other side. 1, 2, 3, and bring that knee up. So that's that hook with it. 1, 2, 3, knife hand strike. 1, 2, 3, uppercut with it. So I call that a lot. And then when I say switch sides, you just go to the other side. You put that other foot in front, right? So that short jab gets the front side. Now I'm on my left side and I'm jabbing and punching when we do that, right? So that's the basic jab, jabbing across. When we do an uppercut, you want to make sure you're digging deep and lifting it up, keeping the abs tight. So those are moves that we tend to do. When we do upper body strength, a lot of times I try to do things that don't require for us to have weights because I know everyone has different equipment with that, making sure. So a lot of times I like to do these that work on those little wings and we're pushing down slightly. So we'll do that move where it's a tiny pulse. You have to put your own body resistance to that, resistance into it. So even when we're pushing forward, pulsing down, lifting up, right, pushing back, changing that movement a little bit in the arm is what puts the resistance into there. Standing abs. When I do the standing abs, it's super, super important for you to contract your core and keep it nice and tight as we're doing it. When we do standing abs, you're mostly keeping your lower body still. So like a lot of times when I do this twisting one, when we're here, we're working the oblique muscles. You're getting low in your legs, nice and firm. My bottom stays, and it's all about my upper body that's doing the twisting. And so I can feel that resistance and that pull. I'm really kind of thinking about getting this opposite elbow to the opposite side, and I'm bringing it back. So we do that a lot. We might do a standing squat, crunch. And when you're bringing it down, again, as if you were laying on the ground, or if you were using that machine where you're pulling it down, sometimes it can help to grab a pair of weights and to pull on that. You're not holding your breath, but you're contracting the core muscles, right? And you should feel that as you're squeezing in, as you're pulling the pelvis in, right? Okay, so we do a lot of those. Same thing when I bring the leg up to the side, I'm really tightening my oblique muscles here and I'm crunching it. So whenever we do standing abs, it's really important that you contract your muscles there. When we do things in the lower body, there's a couple of different moves. Number one, we kick a lot in classes that I do. And so I often say chamber your kicks. A chamber kick means that you're bringing your knee up first and you're snapping it out and bringing it back in. But it tends to look like a fluid movement as we continue to go. But if I turn to the angle a little bit, I'm chambering it. The power comes, I bring the knee up first and snap it out and bring it back. When you do a front kick, your heel is getting the strike, right? That's what we're focusing on, is the heel. Pretend that you're making contact with somebody and you're throwing that up and bringing it back. Same thing when I do a side kick, I'm chambering that side kick, I'm bringing it up and then I'm snapping it back. As you said, when we do it in the movement, it just looks pretty quick, right? But my foot is flexed on that. When I do a back kick, there's a couple of ways that we do it in here. You can do a donkey kick, to where you're just pushing straight behind you and you're tightening your glutes as you lift that leg up and you're going straight back. The foot is flexed. Or you can look behind you, and that true back kick means that you're kind of looking over your shoulder a bit. You're bringing it up and snapping it back, right? So if I was facing you, my true back kick means I'm looking over my shoulder. Find my balance, right? I'm looking over my shoulder, snapping it and bringing it back, either one. When we do things like the crescent kick, where we're bringing it around, same thing still. My heel is getting the strike, right? I'm imagining I'm going for someone's head and I'm striking down with the heel of my foot. But then sometimes we do moves where I want you to point your toe, right? And when I do that roundhouse, right, your roundhouse kick, the strike is actually the top of your foot. And you'll notice that my toe is pointed more because I'm really trying to focus on hitting with the top of that. And it's a quick movement, but I'm still chambering that kick. The power comes from me throwing it from my knee and snapping it out and bringing it back, okay? So those are a few things. So whenever we do those moves and I'm like, chamber your kicks, you're really kind of bringing it up from the knee first and snapping it down, but we do it in a quick movement. Even with your kicks, you really wanna make sure you're snapping it out and bringing it back, right? Squats. When we do those, we'll do variations of different squats, making sure that you're trying to keep your knees at that 90-degree angle when you go down. Your toes should be fairly relaxed when you come down. So when I go down into a squat, I should be able to lift my toes off. Now, I'm not trying to lean over this way. I'm really trying to keep my shoulders back and trying to come down. And it really just depends on where you are with your knees. I mean, I can go slow and bring my squat down. I personally have to work at that because of my knee issues. So go to what feels good to you. I'm going to challenge you to try to get lower at different times. When we're doing the squats in a song, sometimes they can feel pretty short because we're going quickly and you might not get that full range of motion. But I try to give us a lot of different moves so that we're getting into it and working some good squats. The biggest thing with any of the moves in the class is to make sure you're putting in your own body resistance. You're thinking about the muscles that you're trying to work. Nothing is just throwing it up there. I mean, it's any movement that you can do. We're here to have fun. And as long as you're moving, that's good. But if you really want to focus on some of the strength, if you really want to focus on building that muscle, we got to think about the muscles that we're working. You got to put in your own resistance. You can intensify your workout by adding in a few light weights to make that work. But of course, doing that repetition. So I hope to see you in the virtual space sometime soon. Please share that with your friends. I look forward to working out with you. Remember, you're always worth an hour of fitness.